Coming at you live on location in North America. This is the Pastor Yahoo. Read a psalm a day. You can't see my face yet because it's secret. April 27, Psalm 37, and we have a special guest today to join us on our broadcast. Let me admit him and say hi to Jeremiah. He's showing us the ocean. Jeremiah, are you there? Jeremiah? We are having broadcast audio. There we go. Jeremiah, are you there? Whoa, it took a while, bro.
I'm here.
Say hello to the peeps.
Hello, peeps.
Let me split our screen so we can see both of us. And here we are. So if the audio is not perfect or the video is not perfect, it's okay because I'm not at home in my command center. I'm on location somewhere in North America. Jeremiah is joining me live from Vancouver, Washington. We are doing Psalm 37 for today in our daily rapid read a psalm a day. Thanks for joining me, Jeremiah. I am going to be reading in the NLT. Is that okay with you, or do you have another version you're using that I should match you with? What version?
I'm in ESV.
No, I'll go to ESV. I'll switch it to ESV. No big deal. ESV, we are together now in the ESV. I don't think it's switched for me. Hold on. Let me blow this up and switch it to ESV. There we go. Now let me shrink it back down. So much work. All right. Go ahead and you read, and I'll follow along with you, and we'll comment together.
Starting from verse 1.
Sure. But let's not read the whole thing. Let's just read select verses that we want to talk about because it's a long psalm. But let's start with verse 1 through 9, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Fret not yourself because of evildoers, but be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desire of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself that tends only to evil.
Okay, stop right there. Stop. So the first 8 verses are all about trusting in the Lord, doing righteousness, not being concerned about evil people. The Lord will raise you up. Delight yourself in the Lord. Commit your way to the Lord. So it's about the surety of the righteous and those who follow the Lord. And that's usually what people focus on. But verse 9 makes this transition. After he talks about everything that the righteous have promised to them, they make this transition to verse 9. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait on the Lord shall inherit the land. So I guess if you're playing good cop, bad cop in Psalm 37, the good cop is all the blessings that are there for the righteous who trust in the Lord. But when I was talking with you earlier, you were saying there's a lot of negative verses in Psalm 37 that talk about the passing of the wicked and the fact that they will be cut off and the fact that they have no future. And that's a reality in this passage as well. And so you have some selected verses that you wanted to talk about that with, right?
Well, yeah. We'll always go to verse 1 of every psalm just to get what's going on. So verse 1 says, Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade. So basically, he's just setting it up that like evil and sin has no, like, there's no end that's good. But we can like look at it and think that it's good. We can like be deceived into thinking like living a sinful life or following the ways of wickedness like has promise. But basically this is like sin is not your friend is kind of how I think of it. And like
it's good.
God
sin is not your friend. That's good.
Like sin doesn't want the best for you, but God does want the best for you. And then there's all the verses, there's all the scattered verses throughout that shows like that God does want the best for you. Like 27, it says, turn away from evil and do good. so you shall dwell forever. 25, I have not seen the righteous forsaken. Right?
Yeah.
He delivers them from the wicked and saves them. Verse 40. 34, wait for the Lord and keep his way, and he will exalt you in the land. Right? So there's all these like promises scattered throughout that like it may not like look as glamorous or whatever, and people might not be as like envious of your life, I guess, when you're not following the ways of sin, because one verse that talks about that a lot is 16. It says, better is the little that the righteous has than the abundance of many wicked. So it's saying like, and that verse is basically talking about abstaining. Like we as Christians and stuff like have to, like not have to, I mean, yeah, there's verses like in Colossians that talk about put these things to death, right? And we're separate from the world and we're not going to have all the pleasures of the world. And so we have to like abstain to a certain degree to honor and glorify God and things. And that's not going to look pleasant to other people. In this today's day and age, it's like, do whatever feels good. Sin all you want. Life is all about you. But truly, this is saying like, hey, it's better to abstain and live a righteous life and trust that God has the best plan for you in mind. Like after this life, that there's like something to come, you know, instead of just indulging yourself in wickedness, and the promised result of wickedness is death. Like Romans talks about that. The wages of sin is death.
True.
So Psalm 37, in my opinion, is just an echo of the rest of the Bible, showing that sin is temporary. Sin is enticing, but it has no promise of a future. The verses that we were going to look at are like 13. You know, the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that his day is coming. Like that's kind of,
wow. Yeah.
I mean, like thinking of the imagery of like God laughing at the wicked person, like they think they have it all together, you know, but they don't understand that there is no like good end of wickedness. Like 100% of the time, a life devoted to sin ends in destruction.
It's true.
And I saw that because in verse 13, I have referred to 2 Chronicles 21. You don't have to pull it up.
Okay.
But 2 Chronicles 21 is a chapter about a random king in the Bible named Jehoram. And at the end of 21, it just says, and Jehoram like died and he was buried to no one's regret and forgotten about, basically. And
right.
even in the Psalms, it says like all throughout this psalm, I mean, he was an evil king, by the way.
Right.
And so basically he was saying like he followed wickedness, and then when he was buried, like nobody remembered him, nobody cared. And that was it. That was the lot of his life. That was the end result of a life devoted to wickedness. Was like he died and no one regretted his death because it was just a life devoted to wickedness.
It reminds me a little bit of Jesus' words in the Gospels. It says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that the kind of the big theme of this is like, don't worry about wicked people. Just make sure that you're like devoted to righteousness, devoted to the things of God, and trust that God has something so much more for you than the temporary fleeting pleasure of wickedness, which is already exposed, basically. Psalm 37 is saying like, we don't know the good things that God has planned for us. Like we don't know that. We know it's good, but it says no eye has seen, no ear has heard, like what, you know, God has like in store for us. And for wickedness, though, wickedness is completely exposed. It says the wages of sin is death.
Right.
Like there is no other path. It's not like you have a chance to dabble in sin and to get like an end life that's like a good. If it's like a if you're devoted to sin and wickedness and to put the things of God on the side, then the result of that will be like death.
I like
spiritual death.
I like the verse 22
but
and follow.
If you're devoted to,
I like verse 22 and following, where it says, "For those blessed by the Lord shall inherit the land, but those cursed by him shall be cut off. The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. So it's the idea that, just like you're saying, the wicked will be cut off. The righteous are going to be blessed. We don't always know how it's going to happen. There can be hard times, but God has our hand. He's got our back. He's going to see us through any of this stuff.
Yeah. I like the idea of like God having our back is basically what he's saying is like, don't worry. I have your back. I know what's best. It may look a little different to follow my ways, but I have something in store for you beyond what you can imagine. And also, just so you know, since there's only two paths, there's follow God or not follow God.
That's right.
The other path, the not follow God path, looks like this and ends like this. So if that's what you want, then you can choose that, but it's already exposed and there's no other don't be surprised if you devote a life to sin and then spiritually you die, because that's why I'm telling you this. You know?
So in the words of our current president, we could say that sin is just fake news.
That's just fake news. It's just temporary, you know. And Ecclesiastes talks about the temporality of sin, and yeah, it's just so crazy that it's like it will be cut off. You know, like you're gonna look and try to find wickedness one day, and it's just not gonna be there.
It's true.
That's very encouraging, I think.
Right, which leads me back up to the very early part, verses 2-9, where it says, delight yourself, commit your way. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. In the end, we are going to be...
It's not wickedness that prevails.
Yeah, no, it's the righteousness of Christ in us and through us as we are with him for all eternity. That's what's going to glow for eternity. The wicked are left with nothing but destruction and death. Very good.
Yeah, or 25, it says, I have been old and now I have been young and old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken or his children begging for bread. He is ever lending generously and his children become a blessing. Like, it's a promise. Like, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken. Like, yeah, again. So let me explain that for 1 second. If you go to verse 19.
Okay.
It says, or verse 18. It says, the Lord knows the days of the blameless, and their heritage will remain forever. They are not put to shame in evil times. In the days of famine, they have abundance. So this is talking about a blameless person, a righteous person, that in the days of famine, they have abundance. What I don't think it literally means like you have abundance of like bread or whatever, but it's talking about like if you're a blameless person who's put aside the ways of sin and are pursuing and seeking righteousness, that even in days of famine, like your spirit can still be healthy. I think it's talking about like you can still have a healthy spirit.
Yeah, there's a New Testament parallel to that where it says, I pray that you will prosper even as your soul prospers. It's talking about prosperity of soul here, mostly.
Yeah. Prosperity. Yeah. The prosperity of soul. And that it's just very encouraging that God doesn't forsake those who seek righteousness and who trust in him and who trust in his end game plan. And so Psalm 37 is basically saying, don't be anxious about the way or the enticement of sin, right? You look at Hollywood and everyone's like, oh, I want to go there. Like, don't fret. Don't be like that. Like the ways of the world, the ways of sin, yeah, they might look enticing, but they're temporary. God is actually laughing at them because they don't understand that there is no winning with sin. That sin is not your friend. Like, I don't know. I just said that